Russia announced 2 colonels killed in battle in Bakhmut amid rumors about the number of Russian officers captured and killed in battle in the city of Bakhmut. Russian military bloggers claim that dozens of officers of the rank of colonel were captured at the Bakhmut front, and at least 5 died in battle. However, the Russian Ministry of Defense has only confirmed that 2 colonels died in battle. This is something they rarely do, but perhaps it was a tactic to show they were also honest so that they could come up with other moves to reduce the scandal surrounding the Bakhmut battlefield. Newsweek had an article titled "Russia Announces Deaths of 2 Colonels in Bakhmut," which means Russia announces the deaths of 2 colonels in Bakhmut. We invite you and your brothers and sisters to follow the translation into Vietnamese. Russia has revealed that 2 of its colonels were killed in Bakhmut while fighting Ukrainian forces. In a rare announcement of combat losses, the Russian Defense Ministry confirmed the deaths of Colonel Vyacheslav Makarov of the 4th Motorized Rifle Brigade and Colonel Yevgeny Bravko, Deputy Commander of the Corps in charge of operations. Military political. Both are said to have died while repelling the attacks. TASS, a news agency with close ties to the Russian government, announced that the representative of the Russian Defense Ministry, Lieutenant General Igor Konashenkov, confirmed the deaths. Konashenkov said Makarov had commanded his unit on the front lines and claimed 2 Ukrainian attacks had been repulsed. He added, during the repulsion of the 3rd wave of attacks, the brigade commander was seriously injured and died during the evacuation from the battlefield. According to TASS, Bravko heroically died in battle to repel one of the attacks. He received multiple shrapnel wounds. The American Institute for the Study of War, or ISW, on Saturday, May 13, announced that Ukrainian forces have continued to counterattack in the Bakhmut region amid the country's claims of victories in the war. Area. ISW said a Russian military blogger claimed Ukrainian forces had established positions on the outskirts of Kurdimivka, just southwest of Bakhmut. The military blogger also claimed that Russian forces were ambushed behind the Seversky Donets Canal in the Donbass region. Russia has faced a number of setbacks in recent weeks when Ukraine claimed Moscow had lost 48 artillery systems in 2 days. Kremlin officials are also facing public criticism from the founder of the Wagner mercenary company, Yevgeny Prigozhin. In a video shared with English subtitles on Twitter, Prigozhin contradicts Russian Defense Ministry spokesman Konashenkov, who says troops are regrouping from Bakhmut. Instead, Prigozhin claimed that it was not a tactical retreat and that, in fact, the Russian troops were fleeing in a completely non-tactical scatter. He added, the efforts of the Department of Defense to somehow address the situation in the media space are leading to, and will lead to, a global tragedy for Russia. So stop lying immediately. If you run away, establish new lines of defense. But what you have trained for that defense has no defense. They simply don't do anything. And so what's been happening lately, and what I've been warning about for a long time, is coming. And it is leading to a great tragedy for our country. Newsweek has reached out to the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense for comment. 2. The founder of Wagner thinks Russia shot down its own plane. To this day, Bryansk Region Governor Alexander Bogomaz continues to allege that Ukrainian forces attacked across the border, shooting down 1 Su-35 and 1 Su-34 along with 2 Mi-8 helicopters. However, boss Wagner Yevgeny Prigozhin does not think so. Newsweek had an article titled "Wagner Founder Thinks Russia Shot Down Its Own Aircraft," which means founder Wagner thinks Russia shot down its own plane. We invite you and your brothers and sisters to follow the translation into Vietnamese. Wagner Group founder Yevgeny Prigozhin suggested that Russia may have shot down its own plane near the Ukrainian border. On Saturday, Russian state media said 5 Russian planes had been shot down in Bryansk, a Russian region near the border with Ukraine. Russia's Kommersant newspaper reported that among these 5 aircraft, 1 Su-34 fighter, 1 Su-35, and 2 Mi-8 helicopters, were shot down in the border area. The 5th aircraft has not been identified as a helicopter. Ukraine appears to deny any involvement in the incident, while the downing comes as the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, launched by Russian President Vladimir Putin last February, continues. Prigozhin, a former Putin ally whose relationship with the Russian president became more strained as the war in Ukraine continued to stagnate. On Sunday, he hinted that Putin's own forces may have shot down the plane. In a statement posted on his Telegram channel, Prigozhin questioned whether Russian or Ukrainian air defense systems could be located in the center of a 20 km radius of the 4 downed planes. For planes, if you draw a circle where they fall, it turns out that the circle is 40 km in diameter. That is, the radius of the circle is 20 kilometers. And all of them lie exactly within that circle, wrote Prigozhin. Now go to the internet and see what anti-aircraft weapon might be in the center of this circle, then build your own versions. I do not know. Newsweek has reached out to the Russian Defense Ministry for comment via email. Ukrainian Air Force spokesman Colonel Yuri Ihnat also said in an appearance on Sunday on Ukrainian television that Russia's own air defenses may be responsible for the downing of the plane. Kommersant reported that the warplanes were supposed to carry out a missile and bomb attack on targets in the Chernihiv region of Ukraine. The newspaper added that the planes were shot down almost simultaneously, although Russian authorities have not confirmed this. Bryansk Region Governor Alexander Bogomaz wrote on Telegram that a helicopter crashed in the town of Klintsy, injuring a woman. Russian state news agency TASS reported that authorities blamed the crash on engine problems. Prigozhin's comments come as his relationship with Putin appears to have deteriorated in recent months. Once a close ally dubbed Putin's chef, the Wagner Group played an increasingly important role in Russia's invasion of Ukraine during the winter months. Prigozhin's troops fought alongside Russian troops in the hope of taking control of Bakhmut, a city located in the Donetsk region of Ukraine. However, relations between Putin and Prigozhin have become increasingly strained, with the founder of the Wagner Group threatening to withdraw troops from Bakhmut due to a lack of ammunition for pro-Russian forces. Tensions have also grown over Prigozhin's alleged political ambitions and growing notoriety as Putin faces some backlash over the delay of the invasion. 3. Ukraine's deputy defense minister said that forces have captured more than 10 Russian positions near Bakhmut. During a press conference at the Kyiv Press Center on Monday morning, May 15, Ukraine's deputy defense minister Hanna Maliar said Ukrainian forces were able to capture more than 10 Russian positions near Bakhmut. Today, our units captured more than 10 enemy positions north and south of the outskirts of Bakhmut and cleared a large forest near Ivanivsk, Maliar said. She also noted that Ukrainian troops are continuing to advance on the outskirts of Bakhmut. Maliar called the situation in Bakhmut exciting. The enemy has gathered all their forces there and is trying to advance, destroying everything in their path. Fierce fighting continues, she added. Some background: Bakhmut was the site of a months-long assault by Russian forces, including Wagner mercenaries, which displaced thousands of people and left the area devastated. But despite the huge amount of manpower that Russia has poured in to capture the city, they have not been able to take full control and this week have suffered heavy losses in the area. CNN previously reported that Ukrainian forces were able to repel Russian troops 2 kilometers around the city of Bakhmut in the past week. 4. President Zelensky arrives in Paris to discuss important bilateral relations. Upon arriving in France on Sunday evening, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky tweeted that he planned to discuss important points in bilateral relations. Paris. With each visit, Ukraine's defensive and offensive capabilities increase. The relationship with Europe is increasingly strong, the pressure on Russia is increasing. I will meet my friend Emmanuel to discuss the most important points of bilateral relations, Zelensky wrote on Twitter. Zelensky is scheduled to host a working dinner with his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron at the Élysée Palace on Sunday. 5. Ukraine says, Russia lost 48 artillery systems in 2 days. Newsweek ran a report titled Russia loses 48 artillery systems in 2 days, Ukraine, which means Ukraine says, Russia lost 48 artillery systems in 2 days. We invite you and your brothers and sisters to follow the translation into Vietnamese. Russian forces in Ukraine have lost 48 artillery systems in the past 2 days, according to an update from the Ukrainian military. Moscow's forces have lost 21 artillery systems in the past 24 hours, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine said at a press conference on Sunday. This comes after the military said on Saturday that 27 artillery systems had been removed in the previous day. On Friday, the number reported in the previous 24 hours was 15 artillery systems. On Thursday, the number was 14 systems. Since May 8, 106 Russian artillery systems have been lost to Moscow's forces, according to Kyiv's data. Newsweek was unable to independently verify these numbers and has reached out to the Russian Defense Ministry for comment via email. Artillery played an important role in the ongoing war for both sides. In January, the Center for Strategic and International Studies said the war in Ukraine has turned into an artillery war, adding that artillery has proven that it is still the king of the battle by the intensity of its use. In early April, The Washington-based Institute for the Study of War said that Moscow's forces were using artillery to offset their degraded offensive capabilities. The supply of shells has always been a concern weighing heavily on Kyiv's mind, despite contributions from Western supporters. This happened when Russia launched a wave of attacks, including launching cruise missiles and combat drones, on several targets across Ukraine overnight, Ukraine's general staff said. Officials said the western Ukrainian city of Ternopil was attacked shortly before Ukraine's Eurovision concert in the UK. Ternopil is home to this year's Ukraine Eurovision show, Tvorchi, who said on social media that Ternopil was bombed by Russia while we were singing on the Eurovision stage. The Russian Defense Ministry said on Sunday that Moscow's armed forces had performed a high-precision air and sea long-range weapons strike at Ternopil, as well as in the area. Southeastern region of Dnipropetrovsk. The Russian Defense Ministry said the attack targeted deployment points of the armed forces of Ukraine and places where ammunition, weapons, and military equipment are stored from Western countries. However, Ukrainian military officials said social infrastructure was damaged and civilians were injured in the attacks. The general staff added that fierce fighting is continuing in the eastern Ukrainian city of Bakhmut. The besieged city endured some of the heaviest fighting of the war. However, the British Ministry of Defense said on Saturday that Kyiv's forces had recaptured at least a kilometer of territory in the devastated city. Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar wrote on Telegram on Saturday, "Our troops are gradually advancing in two directions on the outskirts of Bakhmut." The Washington-based Institute for the Study of War assessed that, as of May 13, Ukrainian forces had recaptured 16.85 square kilometers in the Bakhmut area through recent counteroffensive operations. Russia and the international community are anticipating a long-awaited general Ukrainian counteroffensive, which Ukraine's President, Volodymyr Zelensky, indicated over the weekend could soon take place. "You will certainly see it and Russia will certainly feel it," Zelensky told the media on Saturday. 6. French President reaffirms his unwavering support for Ukraine during his meeting with Zelensky. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky arrived in Paris on Sunday for a working dinner with French President Emmanuel Macron at the Élysée Palace, the palace said in a statement. This exchange will allow them to continue and strengthen the dialogue of trust following their meeting on February 8 in Paris and their regular phone exchanges since. During the meeting, Macron reaffirmed the unwavering support of France and Europe to restore Ukraine's legitimate rights and protect its fundamental interests. Therefore, tonight's discussion focuses on the support that France continues to provide to meet Ukraine's urgent humanitarian and military needs. The two presidents also discussed the longer-term prospects for the restoration of peace in Europe, especially on the basis of the peace plan proposed by President Zelensky, supported by France, the statement added. Zelensky was in Germany on Sunday on his first visit to the country since the Russian invasion began last year. 7. Zelensky received the prestigious Charlemagne Prize in Germany. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Sunday accepted the prestigious Charlemagne Prize during a visit to Germany on behalf of the Ukrainian people for their contribution to European unity. He accepted the award at a ceremony in the western German city of Aachen, attended by German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Some background: the Charlemagne Prize is one of the most important political awards in Germany and is awarded for work in the service of European unification. The Ukrainian people, under the leadership of President Volodymyr Zelensky, defend not only the sovereignty of their country and the lives of their citizens, but also Europe and European values, the award body for know in a statement. 8. Zelensky says Ukraine and its allies could make Russia's defeat irreversible. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Sunday that Ukraine and its allies could make Russia's defeat irreversible this year. "Now is the time for us to decide to end this war this year. This year we can make the defeat of the aggressor irreversible," he said at a joint press conference with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Berlin. "Now is the time to act. We all want this war to end eventually, but in a just and just peace. Ukraine and all of Europe must be free. Our territorial integrity and security, as well as the territorial integrity and security of all European countries, must be guaranteed," Zelensky said. Zelensky said he spoke with Scholz about the mission to find the fighter jet, admitting that it was not an easy question. He said Ukraine was working to form a fighter alliance and was asking Germany to join. Some context: in March, Poland became the first NATO member to commit to supplying Ukraine with MiG-29 fighter jets. Slovakia completed the delivery of 13 MiG-29 fighters to Ukraine in April. The Ukrainian leader thanked Germany for its defense and financial support to Ukraine. German support is about saving lives. The lives of our people in the cities and villages are reliably protected, especially by the air defense systems you have provided. The lives of our soldiers on the battlefield are protected by the armored vehicles you have provided. Social life in Ukraine, protected by your financial support, said the president. 9. President Zelensky says Ukraine is focused on counterattack. Speaking at a press conference with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Berlin, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Ukraine is not interested in attacking Russian territory and is focused on the counterattack. We are not attacking Russian territory. We are liberating our land. We are not interested in attacking Russia. We don't have time for that, we don't have the strength and weapons to do it. We are focusing on our counterattack under international law, under our constitution. We focus solely on the occupied Ukrainian territories, Zelensky said. The Ukrainian leader is making his first visit to Germany since Russia began its invasion in February 2021. His arrival on Sunday comes a day after Germany announced a $3 billion military aid package. USD for Ukraine. He had arrived in Germany from Rome, where he said on Saturday that the first important steps of a much-anticipated military counterattack against Russian forces will be taken soon. 10. German Chancellor Scholz says Berlin will continue to support Ukraine to ensure Russia is accountable. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz on Sunday reaffirmed Berlin's support for Ukraine as long as necessary in the fight against the Russian invasion and stressed that those responsible for the war must be responsible. No country in the world is allowed to invade another country, commit murder and plunder it. Therefore, we support our partners to ensure that Russia is held accountable for its crimes, Scholz said at a joint press conference with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who is visiting Berlin for the first time since the Russian invasion began. Our support is not only humanitarian but also political, financial and, of course, weapons. I have often said this and I will repeat it here, we will support you as long as it is needed, he added. Scholz also said he looks forward to accompanying the Ukrainian leader to the German city of Aachen on Sunday, where Zelensky will receive the International Charlemagne Prize, awarded for work done in service of European unity. Who, if not Ukrainian, deserves this year's award? Scholz said. This terrible war has had terrible geopolitical consequences. Our solidarity is very strong. The long-standing relationship between our two countries has only become stronger in the face of this conflict, he said. 11. Zelensky thanks Germany for weapons and support. In Berlin, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked German Chancellor Olaf Scholz for his country's support in the fight against Russia, saying Kyiv would always be grateful. This is the first visit of the Ukrainian leader to Germany since the war began. I want to emphasize that Ukraine needs help in defense, to protect lives, to protect the lives of our people in cities and villages everywhere, to help protect lives, especially in your defenses, Zelensky told reporters. Zelensky added that German leadership can make the world safer. The more cooperation we have for peace, the more Germany will become a leader in the defense of peace, more and more stability in international relations. Zelensky said that Germany is in second place behind the United States in supporting Ukraine, and during his meeting they discussed the possibility of our military returning our people to freedom. President Ukrainian said that they discussed becoming part of the European and Euro-Atlantic architecture. We agreed on that. We have agreed on a program to develop our partnership and relationship. Some context. On Saturday, Germany announced a $3 billion military aid package to Ukraine in its biggest program of assistance to the country since the war began. This follows the U.S. announcement of a $1.2 billion aid package on Tuesday.